Weekend car audio. Tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in. This weekend car audio. Tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in. We'll be talking about bass, talking about chips, talking about rings. You ain't got them, zip your lip. You got a problem you haven't found, check your grounds. The show about to start. Tune in, 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 tune in. This weekend car audio. Yeah. Tune in. This weekend car audio.
Welcome to This Week in Car Audio with your host, the Judge, Doug Stockton, and co-hosted by Mr. Jeffrey Fernandez, world traveler, freaking all over Southern California, trying to show off and get some guys to go to World Finals and all that stuff. How's it going, Mr. Jeffrey?
I'm only local to North America. Okay?
Yeah.
I haven't been outside of North America with my world travels, so.
All right. Anything happened last weekend for you, or this upcoming weekend, or where are we at?
This coming weekend on Sunday, we're going to have a triple point DB drag racing event at Crossfire Car Audio in Grapevine, Texas.
Again?
Yes, again. We need the shows. We need to build up this area that was predominantly another organization based. But I seem to think it's getting there. Yeah, so also on the calendar,
Sharing. Sorry about that. I forgot I was sharing.
I thought you were going to tell me I'm still on mute. But,
Again?
Anyways, so we got a show coming up, the same location here, Grapevine, Texas, May 13th. It's going to be a triple point event sponsored by Team Voodoo Customs. It's going to be Steve De Los Santos Memorial for his late son. He's going to have a triple point event again here at Crossfire headquarters, Grapevine, Texas. He's looking for food vendors. It's also going to be dual organization. T.W.I.C.A is going to be here as well. Shane is going to be here running the T.W.I.C.A part of the event. And also another event that just hit the calendar is on Saturday, May 20th. I'm going to be back in Cali. They want me back in Cali. Back at the same location as it was last month. Or actually earlier this month, but Bloomington, California, Team Gorilla Hertz guys, Robert Gallegos, Adrian Hernandez, they're wanting to put on another triple point event. That's also going to be a dual organization. It's going to be myself doing the DB drag as well as Richard. It's going to be Base Wars. Papa San, yes.
Yeah, I actually contacted him and asked him if he wanted to participate at Autorama, and he never even acknowledged my existence. So, well, hey, like I said, I'm trying to share that. I think the more people we have, the better off we're going to be as a car audio community.
I agree.
Me too, sir. I got Autorama coming up, right? So yeah. Autorama, big deal. You might be coming.
I'm looking at flights right now. There's like crazy layovers. It's like I fly into either Denver or Vegas, and then I have like this 7-hour layover, and then we fly into Sacramento. So I'm hoping a flight will pop up where it's just nonstop, or maybe like one layover. That's not too bad. But hopefully we'll see. Keep your fingers crossed. I might be there. We'll see everybody there.
All right. We got Manny Alejandra popping in. Mario Anthony Perella popping in. Nice. Tiffany from Bridgetown, Barbados. That's right. We're worldwide.
Yeah.
All right. So part of what we're talking about and being at World Finals, you got to have power management. So our guest today is, man, dude, I said his name like 20 times. Kevin Z. Kevin Z, he's from BioEno Power. That's a company, I don't know, owner or just engineer or what he is, but he's the guy I call when I was looking for a boat battery. He's very knowledgeable. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for inviting me to the show. I'm Kevin with the BioEno Power down here in Santa Ana, Orange County, California. National sales manager for the company. also do applications engineering as well. So I do a little bit of a mix of engineering and also sales management at the business. And we've been in business for 13 years now, and manufacture lithium iron phosphate batteries.
Okay. So just start with just so people understand that this isn't coming from a crazy guy. Why don't you? I've already put your credentials within the text, but why don't you tell everybody your credentials again, real quick?
Yeah, so I did a bachelor's in electrical engineering, master's degree in electrical engineering, and also business degree in MBA as well. I worked in technology industries about 20 years in tech. So a mix of, I worked in the auto industry. Actually, I grew up in Detroit. And so I worked in RFID, which is basically these chips that you put to tag things in the automotive industry, and you scan them to get information out of it. It's called RFID. And that was really early on. Did that for a couple of years. And then I came out to California, did graduate school, and then I got involved with batteries through the owners of the business. I met them. And originally, when the business first started, we were looking at kind of solar and renewable products, but the demand was actually better batteries. So we found that this chemistry works out quite well. And then, so I've been in batteries actually, this is my 13th year. So I've been involved with all types of things related to, you name it. It can be used for, again, audio equipment, for example. You can use it for telecom equipment, solar storage, a lot of different applications for this type of battery.
Yeah. So originally with the lithium iron phosphate, when I contacted you guys, we started talking to you about it being for stereos, and your BMS in conjunction with the battery itself wasn't going to lead it to bleed off the energy fast enough for a stereo system, I believe is what we ended up coming up with, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. It depends on how many amps you're pulling out of the battery.
Couple hundred.
Yeah. So if you're pulling, a couple hundred amps continuous,
yes.
at 12 volts, that's quite a bit of wattage. Typically for like any type of lithium battery mix that's a continuous draw, you're going to stay under 100 amps at 12 volts. So, it really depends on the application, but you're dealing with kind of high amperage in that regards.
Yep. And just so you guys know, the way I met up with Kevin initially is I went to a boat show, and I was looking for a motor for my pontoon boat. I have a trolling motor on there, a Garmin actually. At the time, I had a Minn Kota. I met with him, and he's like, "Well, our batteries tend to be very good," and this was, I don't know, 5 years ago or so, and yeah, so then I'm using these. What ones are those? The ones they're out of LA, full throttle batteries. So I had full throttle, or what's their other name? Full River.
I think Full River. Yeah. That's the
so full throttle, Full River, same company. So I was using one of their batteries, and it was a 12-volt AGM, and it weighed 96 pounds. Wow. And I'm going, well, I need that in my boat, and then I need a couple of 48-volt ones, and I'm going, holy good Lord, I'm going to have 700 pounds of batteries in my boat that's supposed to float on water. And came across the lithium iron phosphate deal, and lo and behold, I'm running a 48-volt battery that weighs 26 pounds. I think is that what your 48-volt runs?
Yeah, so the 48-volt, I think for the trolling motor is actually 36.
Well, I have the 48. I have a
and
48,
then
and then I also have the 36. I have both of them.
Yep. And so they're really lightweight. There's like 28 pounds to 33 pounds. I mean,
yeah,
it's a quarter of what you had before for sure.
Yeah.
And on that, in that market, weight's so critical on a boat. I mean, it's just for the performance.
Yeah. So much so before I even thought about buying batteries, when I built my pontoon boat, because I built it up from scratch, I actually, in the dead center of my boat, I made a battery box so that I can center the batteries in the middle of my pontoons, front to back, side to side, just because I was intending to put many hundreds of pounds in there. So
yeah.
But I'm still using that same area, but now I got almost no weight in there, comparatively speaking, right?
Yeah, it's so lightweight, and they were saying that they have to clamp it down because you're speeding along in a bass boat, for example, you have a pontoon boat, but I mean, they're zipping at like 60 miles an hour. So
yeah, mine goes 13. So
13,
not
so
very
it's a little bit
fast.
easier. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
You got to figure I'm running an electric outboard on mine. It's about a 15 horse electric outboard. So I can get up to about 13 miles an hour with it. All right, so with that being said, that's basically the background there. And then now I'm just, I don't remember if I was just like putting around on YouTube or whatnot, and I caught an article about sodium ion batteries, and I read through the whole dang thing. And so one of the big things is I came from Reno, where they do a lot of mining, and to get lithium, the chemicals needed to pull lithium out of the earth are so detrimental to the environment. Not that I am a big environmentalist kind of guy, but if there's an alternative that's equivalent and we don't have to destroy the environment and it's more prevalent. I mean, lithium is a finite item, just like gold is, or anything else any other mineral or something you pull out of the earth, where sodium is readily available through the oceans. And I mean, just we mine sodium we don't destroy the earth as bad when we mine sodium out of the sea and other areas. So this sodium ion thing was like going, very interesting. So then I called up Kevin. I said, Kevin, have you ever heard of sodium ion? And why don't you tell these guys basically how the discussion went about the sodium ion?
Yeah, so for the sodium ion batteries, this is a new type of battery chemistry that's it's under like research and development right now. And the thing is, unlike a lithium ion battery, so sodium is another element in the periodic table. So you have a lithium ion and you have a sodium ion battery, and sodium would replace the lithium in order to make one of the electrodes that are used in the battery. So the battery has something called a cathode, an electrode, an electrolyte, and then there's some ions that go back and forth in the process of discharging the battery to the equipment, to the load, whatever it is. And then you're putting energy into the battery by charging it. And so the idea here is you replace that lithium with sodium because it's abundant, as you said, but there's a trade-off. So with the sodium ion battery, because of the chemical properties of sodium versus the lithium, its energy density of the resulting battery is much less. In other words, the battery has to be made much larger in order to get you the same amount of runtime compared to a lithium ion battery. But the advantage is the fact that the sodium is highly abundant, so it should be very cheap to make the battery, number one. So it would be cheaper than lithium ion batteries that are on the market. And then also the fact that you're dealing with a highly abundant mineral. I mean, salt's everywhere. So very easy to mine, as you said. You don't have to, there's no like weird kind of mining that's being used for lithium in order to extract the content out of it. And then, you're dealing with something that can be basically, still be charged probably about 1,000 charge cycles. They're saying maybe 2,000. It's still a question mark in terms of the charge cycles, but we could, I'm reading it as saying it's about 1,000 plus charge cycles. And you can use it, for example, in a storage application. So for example, things that, let's say you don't need the battery to be super lightweight, you can have something that's, lighter than a lead acid battery, but it's heavier than a lithium battery. It works. And so I was doing some research on it, just double checked some of my sources in the industry as well. And this could be a game changer in terms of something that could be much cheaper than what's currently available. Solar storage is a number one application that's coming to my mind. But for different industries as well, perhaps the car audio industry, if they get the amperage in terms of the power it can deliver is high enough, then yeah, it could certainly work. The circuitry can still be built around a sodium ion battery, so they just have to change some of the parameters that are used in the circuit boards that are used. Like lithium ion batteries, they have circuit boards inside of it called battery management system. You could adapt that, make conversions so it can work in the sodium ion battery as well. And so
just so you know, so in the car audio industry, typically it's a DIY system. There are people that make lithium batteries and then sell them commercially. But in general, guys buy the cells. They'll buy the Yilong, and what's the other one that everybody likes to buy, Jeff? It's Yilong and
J.Y. Power, is it?
no, it's no J.Y. Power is a brand. So anyway, Yilong is probably the most common, right? And then they buy a separate BMS, a balancer.
Balancer, right.
And then they just put the balancer on it, and that's it. So they don't run a true BMS on it. They just put a balancer in line with the lithium. Real quick, Calvin, which is Jeffrey's little troll on here,
My troll buddy.
says Jeff used to work in a lithium mine until they got busted for child labor laws.
That was back in the day.
And then he says, Kevin, the doctor said I got to stay away from a lot of sodium. Will this be okay? And then he said, here we go. So the common brands are C-Max, SPIM, LTO, are other brands that are very common in the car audio industry. So, all right. Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to get those guys out there real quick and what it was.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, there's going to be, I mean, things are going to evolve in the battery industry. It's not like the computer industry. The computer industry, or everything changes every 18 months. Cell phones every 18 months. Batteries are like on a 10-year timeline. Every 10 years, there's a new battery chemistry that comes out. So it's slow. But you get the gains. It comes out, then you get price adjustments. Things come down. But with any other battery mix that comes in, pricing can change. You have more options as well. And so if it's a lot cheaper than a lithium battery, then you could presumably, if salt's so abundant, could be cheaper than lead batteries. So it's another competitor to lead acid.
And also, like lead acid, the lead becomes toxic after you've used it in a battery. You can reuse it only so many times. I talked to Backcap. I don't know if you're familiar with the guys Backcap, but they work with Hawker. And anyway, so I talked to that guy back in the day, and that's one of the reasons I even called you at the start with, was I was thinking back 2001, 99, 2000, when I started in the car audio industry. I was using a lead acid, and then we had like the yellow tops, which became AGM, and then we had higher performance AGM. Then Backcap came along, which was like a hybrid of AGM. So they started using those little Hawker cells, the ones that look like D-cell batteries, and we were able to get even more power out of a battery. And then all of a sudden came lithium ion. And so when I saw this sodium ion, I was just like going, dude, I think that's the next way to go. And then now when you and I were talking on the phone, we were talking about energy density. So do you happen to have those numbers, like what lead acid, AGM, and lithium and all those are comparatively?
So we go based on what they call this gravimetric energy density. So it basically means how many watts are inside per kilogram, per weight, so per mass. So that's how we kind of identify. We say in the battery industry, it's the watt hours per kilogram. Okay, so how much energy is there per unit mass? And so lead acid's about 35 to 40 watt hour per kilogram. Lithium ion is about 260 watt hours per kilogram. So it's already like on a factor of 6 higher for lithium ion. Sodium ions is between 75 to 165. It's right in between watt hours per kilogram. So it's between, like, lead acid is going to be 40. Sodium ion is going to be about, let's say at the best case, it'll be 165. Lithium ion 260. So you got something right in between right now that could fit the needs of the market. And if the price, they're saying the price could be they're saying maybe like about a third of a lithium ion battery. So that's 1/3. So you're going to get 66% less price. That's a big deal. So 40, they're saying it's about, lithium ion's about per kilowatt hour, it's about $137 per kilowatt hour. Sodium ion would be about 40 per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
So lead acid's actually more expensive. So lead acid's about $100 per kilowatt hour right now. So the price of lead's going up, and so this might be a big game changer in terms of the price. Yeah,
that's freaking awesome. So. And part of the reason I called you initially too is, like I said, you're well versed in this industry, for one, and for two, so the website or the page that I read on the technical papers I read on it was they found a way to match almost within a couple of percentile of the lithium ion on the sodium, and you said there's no way that's happening. So they were talking about running a graphite sheet between the two plates, and that there increased its efficiency, so you were going to be able to get, per kilowatt hour, you're going to get much closer density to lithium than, I think lithium on their page said like was 2.0, and like I said, I don't remember the units they used, and then this would make it from like 10 of that unit down to like 2.6. So it was going to put you really, really close, but it was by running a graphite sheet between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like maybe a modification to it where it enhances the watt hours per kilogram. So yeah, if that can be pulled off, that would be great. If that would be even more compelling. Because right now you have a benchmark, right? It's hard to go backwards. You could argue that, okay, I have a lead battery, I have the lithium ion, I want something in between, fine. But if you get something to match it, that'd be good. And so, and then the companies that were introducing it right now, there's, a few companies that are out there that are they're going to be bringing it to market. They've introduced it already, supposedly this year already. I don't know if that was a soft introduction or, that's just to say we've made some prototypes right now. But once it starts getting adopted, we'll see how the price will evolve in that regards. Yeah.
J.Y.Power. Jeffrey sent me something about J.Y.Power. Why don't you tell them what you saw about J.Y.Power, Jeff?
Essentially what it was basically, I was looking through Facebook, and we know Travis, J.Y.Power.
Travis.
He actually had a video on the J.Y.Power Facebook page talking about sodium. He had this. He was doing tests on specific cells and how they react. He literally took a cell. I think one of the tests were overcharging it. Another test was the hammer and nail test, where he literally hammered a nail into the cell. And then I think the other one was just a short circuit, where he just took a wire and put it on both ends, and just kind of see the characteristics of how a sodium battery, I guess, would react. And he did mention a couple of characteristics in the sense of, okay, at certain voltage levels, say like 13 volts, I think he mentioned, you're not going to see that big of a trade-off switching to sodium. It's not until you hit higher voltages, maybe 15 volts, is when the trade-off starts paying off, sodium versus lithium, so to speak. So just checking it out. I'm still kind of playing catch up nowadays. I'm still kind of, learning about lithium, and then now we're talking about sodium. So, but coming from the old AGM days where we would run.
Oh, yeah, we would train our batteries. Yeah, we would train the batteries, right? So you overcharge them so that they would hold a higher resting voltage and all that stuff. Because, as you know, Kevin, takes power to make power, right? Voltage times amperage creates your wattage. And, and car stereo is all about how much wattage can you create. So here's the other thing. SQ Sounds was asking, so with this new technology, would it be easier to dispose of the batteries versus, say, lithium? So we already know lead acid becomes toxic waste. What about a lead acid, AGM, and lithium ion?
Yeah, so AGM's absorbed glass mat type of lead acid batteries. So lead acid is the hardest to recycle. You have the lead, you have to extract, you have the sulfuric acid, you have to treat. The lithium battery mix, there's now new processes that have come online that basically they can take all of the lithium ion batteries that are spent or finished up, and they use what they call, it's basically a wet chemical process It's a company in Nevada that's working on it right now called Redwood Materials. And then there's a few other companies that have adapted new processes in order to recycle the lithium ion batteries and extract the lithium salts back out to make new batteries. So you're not dealing with sulfuric acid, you're not dealing with lead. Their process is self-contained, so they're not polluting the environment or anything like that, from what I've heard and what I've read. So I mean, it looks pretty compelling. And so with sodium ion, it's the same principle, because you're dealing with sodium in terms of one part of the electrodes. And then if there's any other rare earth materials that are used inside of it, they have processes now to extract it out. So if there's cobalt that needs to be extracted, then it'll be taken out. But they're probably going to minimize the use of those minerals that are in there. So basically, to kind of recap, is lead acid is actually the dirtiest battery to recycle by far. Okay. The lithium batteries, there was a lot of problems up until about 4 years ago to get stuff figured out in terms of how to recycle it, but they've addressed it. They've made self-contained systems, processes that does not, pollute the environment, and they can extract the items, the minerals out of it. So they can adapt the sodium ion batteries quite well. I don't see that to be a major issue. And the government's actually really pushing for that. They were thinking about that 20 years ago. So, and so they've really partnered up with companies out there in that business. And there's a lot of recycling companies that are coming up about in the battery recycling. I don't know if anyone in the audience is involved with recycling, but that's something that's actually a growing business and growing market. And there's opportunities there where they're actually making that happen. So nothing is ending up in landfill. I just want to clarify that. Yeah. So yeah, you're not going to see that. And there's a lot of places where will accept the batteries now. And yeah.
Okay, so what do they do with the reclaimed lithium? Do they put them back into the lithium batteries like they used to do with the lead? I mean, because like lead, you can only do that so many times, and it gets less valuable. Virgin lead obviously has a much higher charge than third cycle lead or whatever, right? So
yeah. So in terms of so the thing is with the lithium, so basically the purity of the lithium, whatever that the recycled amount, there's a percentage for which it has a certain degree of purity, and that has a minimum standard they have to hit in order to put it back into the electrodes in a new battery. So they're always going to hit that percentage. All right. So my point is, you have to get a whole bunch of spent batteries to get the equivalent percentage to hit in order to make it work in a new battery. You cannot be less than an amount, because the tests won't pass. So if you were to assemble it with something that is of less lithium content, the battery won't deliver its cycle life. It won't deliver its capacity, whatever it is, and fail. So whatever the materials that they're providing back to the battery industry is it's guaranteed to be at that level. So there's nothing to be worried about there. Their issue on the recycling actually is getting enough lithium batteries to recycle, because they have to get it to a certain level of purity to sell it back to the battery industry. So the company that's in Nevada, from what I was reading, they need a lot of batteries to finish up and come to that market. But because the electric vehicles just got introduced, it's going to be a while till they get that stuff. Wow. So everything that's available right now is consumer stuff. Yep. It's small batteries. And so that's the stuff like phones, whatever. That's the stuff that's going there right now, probably. But once the electric vehicles are going to be spent, their packs are huge, and there's a lot more content versus getting like 100 cell phone batteries to get the percentage of lithium that they need, the amount to sell back to make the batteries. That was the issue, that if you have a recycling business, is you have to have enough stuff coming in every day, right, to make into new material. Yeah.
I think that's kind of where a lot of the DIY guys were making these banks. They were hitting the junkyards. They were waiting for those Teslas to come in,
the hybrids and stuff like
hybrids and stuff like that, and kind of take from them and then kind of build their own stuff. So
yeah, and that's basically what's going to happen in the auto industry, from what I'm hearing, is there's basically end of life process where if the battery's done, it's going to go to that company or wherever, or those companies that are setting up locations around the country, and it's just going to go there. They're going to extract things the minerals out and send it and sell the pure materials back into the market to make new batteries. So there's going to be I guess we call it cradle to the grave, so it's all figured out now. And that was the back end was the thing they couldn't figure out up until just recently. And now it's figured out. So now it's just a matter of scaling across the country. So, but we have to get the infrastructure. This is a different thing. Electric vehicles, they have to get the infrastructure.
Oh, dude, California. So Jeffrey's from California. He moved out to Texas, just like a lot of Californians are doing, and businesses. I'm sure your business has thought about it. The only thing about in Santa Ana, though, where you guys are located, you're so close to the Port of LA to get materials and stuff like that. It's so convenient. But man, I'm just saying, Texas is way more business friendly than California. Just saying.
Yeah, we've been here for 13 years, so so it's hard to move. So.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, Doug, have you picked out your new electric car now that
Oh yeah,
Muslim is putting an end to gas vehicles? So.
Yes, my electric car is a '74 Trans Am that gets almost 4 to 5 miles to the gallon. So yeah, because when I bought that car, my son went on the test drive with me, and he goes, yeah, you had a hard time keeping the wheels on the ground. Because it's a Trans Am. It's a fun car, right? I bought it from the drag strip. So it got up and went somewhere. Anyway, he asked me, he goes, so what kind of gas mileage does it get? And I said, son, you don't ask about gas mileage when you buy this kind of a car. So, but yeah, no, I am putting a stereo system in my Trans Am, and originally I was going to run the full throttle batteries, right? Once again, 96 pounds, and I was just literally going to place each battery over each one of my rear wheels for weight distribution reasons for a car, right? And then this lithium ion thing started happening, and man, I'm strongly considering, I'm not considering, I know I'm going to end up lithium ion in my car eventually. So that's where it's going to be. The lithium's gotten so good now, people are using them for starting batteries and stuff like that. And that's not even an issue for guys anymore. When it first came out, people were blowing them up because they didn't realize that you had to have compression on the cells. And I guess now the cells you don't need the compression anymore for certain brands of cells out there. So that's not one of the requirements for it anymore. Lithium catches on fire.
Does the sodium, do they require compression?
Kevin?
In terms of compressing the cells for operation?
Yeah.
I don't believe they do.
A lot of the banks now, it's like you have this metal bracket, and then it's like this really long screw on both sides, and you just kind of compress them all together. So
yeah, if they're prismatic type cells that you have to assemble together, they have to be close enough in order to put your connections on it.
We use bus bars.
Yeah. So it has to be close enough in order for, you're not dealing with long lengths for any kind of voltage drop across because you're dealing with high amperage. So, if you have any losses across a long length, it can be a major problem at a very high amperage. So you're dealing with, right. So yeah, everything has to be within close proximity to each other still.
So here, I'm just going to help you out just so you have an understanding. My last car show I did, I clamped one amplifier in a guy's car of 3. Okay. He was running at 15.3 volts, right? So you can figure out his amperage, but he was running 13,700 and something watts.
Wow.
So if you want to do the math on that, there's a lot of amperage coming out of them batteries, right?
Yeah.
So that just gives you an idea of the kind of draw that we're trying to, and we wanted instantly in the car audio industry, right?
Yeah, you need it instantly.
Yeah, because the speed of light doesn't wait. Yeah. So, I'm getting text from our next week's guest already. Doesn't she know that we're in a podcast right now? All right. Anyway, sorry about that. So when I was talking to Kevin about this and stuff, he said he believes the sodium ion has its place, but he thinks in the mobile field of car audio or car audio, but mobile devices, he feels that they're going to go a different way. How were you telling me that you were thinking, or at least seeing the direction possibly going?
So we were talking about solid state batteries too. Solid state type of battery where the electrolyte is not aqueous. It's not a gel inside of lithium. All the lithium ion batteries, the electrolyte material that separates the cathode and the electrode, which makes the ions go back and forth, it's like a gel or kind of aqueous. Solid state is a pure solid in between. The battery has nothing aqueous, nothing's flammable at all. It's purely inert, and it also bends to any direction you want. So this could be something that the industry is looking at. The auto industry is actually looking at solid state batteries. We spun off a separate company called Solid Energies, just focusing the past 6 years to make a solid state battery that looks like a prismatic cell. It's basically a pouch cell, but you can bend it, and it doesn't need any external compression. And a battery that could last 5,000 plus charge cycles. And then you can stick a nail right through it, take it out, the battery still works, nothing happens to it. It's actually pretty cool. We have some samples that we've already built. And so this is another option, but the thing is, the material that they use in there is not sodium ion. It's still, because of the energy density required for these particular applications, they want a form of a lithium mix. But you could, I was thinking about it, and I talked to the team that you could potentially make it a sodium ion battery, but in a solid state form, that could actually be shaped and formed in different ways. So solid state batteries are another type of batteries that may be going down. We're going to see that over the next 5 to 10 years in conjunction with the sodium ion batteries as well. And then the lithium batteries will still be out there. The question is, the price of lithium may change as a result if the demand drops for it, and then the sodium ion becomes, but sodium is so abundant, it doesn't matter. It'll still be very cheap. It's everywhere on Earth. So you could get some price adjustments as demand falls for one and the demand for the others goes up. So we'll see some interesting things happening. It looks pretty good. I can tell you from the time that when I started, the lithium iron phosphate technology came out, it was invented in the 1990s. It came to commercial production around 2009, 2010. And then now it's about 13 years later, and now it's kind of a de facto. It's become very popular. It's very established. And then the next entrants there's still going to be other entrants coming in for new battery chemistries. And I think with the sodium ion and then with the solid state batteries, the solid state batteries are being pushed by the auto industry. They really want some battery that's really, really thin, has a very high energy density. It's very, very, very ultra safe. Then they can put it for an electric vehicle, because the cylindrical cells that are used in the traditional lithium batteries that are used in the Teslas and all kinds of electric cars right now, they have to do a lot of labor to make those battery packs. There's a lot of testing that's involved after the battery comes out. They integrated robotics now to make them, to actually do the spot welding, but there's a lot of spot welds that have to be put into the battery. So if they figure that the battery can be made more easily, kind of with these prismatic pouch type cells, mostly pouch cells, they can then get things assembled much more quickly. And I would say that with the sodium ion batteries, they can adapt it to whatever package they want to make it work. So it seems promising.
So what's the energy density of the solid state? Is it very similar to the lithium ion then, or lighter, or where
it's about 350 watt hours per kilogram. So it's up there. It's actually, it's going to be actually a bit higher than what's on the market right now. It's higher than lithium iron phosphate. It's higher than NMC type lithium ion batteries, or NCM. This is going to be something that's going to be a bit more because the way it's being built. So 350 watt hours per kilogram is probably the threshold we'll see. But yeah,
but the difference is it's flexible, and they can put it inside of door panels, or
it works down to minus 40 Celsius, which is minus what is that? Minus 40 Celsius, minus 13. I have to do the conversion right now.
It's 9 fifths.
It's the same. Fahrenheit degrees should be the same at that temperature, minus 40 Fahrenheit. So, so battery that can work at super cold temperatures. because the auto industry that's one of the problems with the batteries. Electric cars, they have to put thermal management around it. They have to run fluids around it to maintain the temperature of the battery for it to work, right? So this is a big issue right now in northern climates because you got to heat up the battery to work correctly. It's not a big deal in California and the southern states, but up there they have a lot of, the performance is always being checked. And if that thing don't work, the battery fails, it'll just give you an error. The car doesn't go anywhere. So, I mean, this is good. This is something they're really, really cognizant about because they've been selling a lot of electric vehicles, mostly in the warm climates, right? But now the other states are going to be getting them. Do they work as well in those states? Well, only if that thermal management works, right? So,
yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to have a electric vehicle, say, in Minnesota or or in Canada or Alaska, right? You'd be limited to so many times a year you can drive the damn thing.
So. Yeah, I mean, the thermal management has to work at that temperature to heat up the battery. And it's a lot of other things. You have to do a lot of workarounds to make it work. And so if you have a battery, like a solid state battery that actually works at the freezing temperatures, that's a big deal.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, so now that you have a good understanding of what like the car is, I'm sure you had one before. You think the solid state is the direction the car audio is going to go, or do you think it's going to be sitting in lithium for a long time to come? Or
well, it sounds like you need very high discharge currents, very high amperage bursts of current, and so you're looking for a battery that has the highest energy density. So the lithium is staying there in a solid state. It could do that burst if it's a lithium mix. Now the sodium, again, is a lower energy density, but if they can modify it, perhaps with the separate, this graphite sheet, and there are other modifications to it, and they can deliver the amperage that's comparable. And that's something that we have to wait and see. But if it delivers the same bursts and the same amperage, then yeah, you could do the switch over to that as well. But the solid state, based on the experiments, the prototypes that have been developed, they can, with the right lithium mix, they can deliver the high energy, the high amperage, the power that's required, that you would need.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, in your no wall vehicle, if you had your choice between lithium ion, which is a defined size, or a solid state battery, which you can put anywhere inside your vehicle and flex it and do whatever and use it in my mind, I'm seeing it as a potential sound deadener. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you would be able to fit that into your things, because one of the things that I've learned about no wall vans is they really like a free air area behind the box.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that definitely would be something to look into if you're looking to, to place batteries in areas to help create area within a vehicle, right?
This is something I probably could have used in my when I had my Rabbit, when I won my first championship.
Yeah.
We had a battery box underneath the vehicle that we had to weld a cage to house all those those 8-volt batteries.
Yeah. But 8-volt golf cart batteries.
Golf cart batteries.
Trojans, baby.
Series them up, get 16 volts, but nowadays that's a thing of the past. But yeah, something like that, you wouldn't need to cut a hole in the back of your car to house batteries and stuff like that. Like you said, it might have applications and have some kind of characteristics of sound dampening. Who knows? I mean, it can be integrated. Sounds like it could be anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Also, so the other question I have for you, Kevin, is, so you have like I said, you have the understanding of what we are looking for in the car audio market. Is there like a battery that discharges faster than another one that may be better? But so here's the issue we had. AGMs would discharge super fast and they'd be great, but they don't recharge quick enough for your next note. Lithium tends to recover much faster than AGM did. Where does solid state fit in that as far as recovery goes?
It's equivalent with lithium, if not faster.
Faster.
So, Yeah, it actually
Ooh,
we can
Jeffrey,
go
hear that?
faster. Yeah, we're talking about 90% within, a C. I mean, we're talking about a charge rate that within like 12 minutes to get to 95% charge, for any size battery. I mean, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
So as long as you have a charging system, I mean, we're talking about high voltage charging systems. Okay.
Right.
So because we're talking about electric vehicles. So if you wanted to charge this thing in like 12 minutes, you're going to need one of those EV charging, 200, what are they, 220 volts systems.
So
And then
so
you could
just so you
potentially
know,
charge it up.
yeah. So just so you know, these guys, some of these guys have as much as like $120,000 into their stereo.
Yeah.
So buying a 220-volt charger is not their biggest issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would see things where they would be modified in order to charge the battery. Typically, these voltages you're dealing with are high voltage, but depends, right? So there's a lot of things you could do. If you want the really high amperage charging side, you could go with those chargers on it. But there's a lot of options.
So with the lithium ion and the solid state and whatnot, like I said, so we have people all over the world that listen to this: Germany, Sweden, Australia, New Zealand, Barbados, Trinidad. How so? I know, particularly in Brazil, one of the people that watch this, he has a hard time getting lithium. He literally just started getting it this year in Brazil. So with these other technologies, are they going to be slow to getting out to these other areas also?
In terms of shipping,
To market,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends on kind of the thing about distribution of batteries, especially the getting the batteries to where they have to be, is making sure there's enough. That's more of a channel partner thing where you have enough local partners in the country that can bring stuff in terms of products. So I mean, that's something that you have to have dealers within. I mean, batteries are a type of product where you have to have local stock, right? So
Yeah.
that's the issue. I mean, it has to be. I mean, in foreign countries, if there's no dealers there, it's really hard. And so it's
Well,
really
you need
critical.
a distributor to start with, right?
Yeah.
And then a dealer network behind the distributor.
Yeah. If you want to really scale it, it's got to be distribution to dealer. Though
Mhm.
manufacturers are doing a lot of dealer direct now.
Oh.
It's becoming more common. And so, but you could do dealer direct or you could have distribution. Yeah.
So I know your batteries are for boats in general on your page. Are they also for like golf carts or stuff like that too, or?
So we have higher voltage batteries for golf carts. We have a 48-volt configuration
Yep.
that we've adapted for the carts. And then we're going to be introducing some newer models later this year, kind of models that will be adapted a bit with like a kit that has some information in terms of readouts and stuff like that. So we're making some changes later this year, actually, for that market.
I don't know if you remember this wholly, but that was really my only critique of your battery the batteries that I have from yours. I absolutely love them. You guys aren't paying me. You aren't sponsoring any of this. I didn't get them from free for them, nothing like that. I'm just saying they've been very good batteries for me. We had some issues at the beginning, figured out it was a charger issue, not a battery issue. So once we got the charger replaced, no issues anymore. But my only critique was that it would be nice to have some kind of readout on it that would say, hey, I'm 30%, I'm 20%, especially when you're out on the water. Now, mind you, I bought enough battery that I can go 9 hours on the water without even worry about draining my battery. So, but it'd be nice to have the confidence that I'm only 30%,
Yeah, that's something we're going to be adding. We actually have worked with another channel partner of ours that has a meter that can be used with the unit. It's called a shunt meter, and it sends stuff via Bluetooth to the phones. So we do have that through one of our partners right now. So we're
cool.
adding more to the line, and then we'll start adding it natively as we go down the rest of the year.
Awesome.
That kind of sounds like it'd be helpful in the car audio industry, is having a percentage meter, on our batteries. I know we have,
Volt
voltage
meters.
readouts,
Yeah.
and it just tells us how many volts it is, but how much longer, how much percentage it is before
Yeah,
it
the only
dies.
issue is they're only handle up to like, I think they're limited to maybe 300 amps. That's the issue. So
Oh yeah,
300 or
that's
600
not enough.
amps. Yeah. So the shunts cannot handle anything higher through it right now.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Hey, Jeffrey, I think we wanted to leave a little time for this question. Why don't you hit him with the question we talked about with all our guests? So go ahead.
Okay. It's going to be an interesting take because I don't think Kevin is really in the car audio industry, so it'd be kind of an interesting answer here for Kevin. So, Kevin, basically, there's a question that we ask all of our guests. Is basically we want to know what your definition of a bass head is.
Definition of a bass head.
Yes.
So for us, a bass head in general is that guy that drives around. Yeah, more of not your definition, but what your thoughts are on the loud stereo guys. I mean, in our world, we typically see it as therapy. This is our opportunity to just get lost in our hobby and our love of what we do.
I like to see it sometimes as being a testosterone based sport,
kind of like your video,
if you will. Yeah, kind of like in the video, or like I got this big bad system, I'm gonna go down the block, you could hear me for miles. Yeah, type thing. And then when you equate it to or you compare it to competitions, it's like, I got the bigger system, the more testicular driven, I guess you could say. But that's another take on that.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on the people that participate in that? As an outsider?
I think it's creative. I find it, and I enjoy anything that's creative or unique. I mean, that's my thought on it. So you guys put a lot into it in terms of investment and making it work, a lot of DIY, and so I certainly appreciate that. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I like to look at a lot of technical things and a lot of cool stuff. So I mean, you got a lot of really amazing speakers, amps, you got the power, everything, the way that you've done all the work. And I was looking at some photos for on the call to see what it looked like, and it looks pretty intricate. I think it looks great.
So from an engineering aspect, you got to understand. I mean, you obviously know air is water, right? So that's how I envision this stuff. So we are taking these systems. I don't know how much you know about decibel levels, but they're saying so the loudest thing recorded on Earth prior to car stereo competition in the atmosphere was the space shuttle launch at just over 180 dB. Okay, we now have, and so every 3 dBs is double the acoustic energy, right? And it's exponential, right? So it's an exponential curve. Right now, I believe the loudest car we've seen is what, 186.3, Jeffrey?
Wow.
Yeah. So
85.
6.3 dBs louder than a space shuttle launch, right?
Wow.
So I mean, when you're talking on an exponential curve and you're at 180, I mean, you're at the peak of the curve. You know how far that, I mean, how much further up you go up that exponential curve just to get double one time.
Yeah.
And you've doubled it twice. We're blowing out front windshields. We're blowing out side windows on these cars, and we're all doing it with just acoustical energy. Yeah. And from an engineering aspect, I think that's just so cool. I mean, the physics behind it is just, like I said, I enjoy it to probably a little too much, like most of the people listening to this podcast, right? So, but
that's great.
Yeah, I'd invite you to get on Jeffrey's Facebook or Boomin' Audio, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, Boomin' Audio competitions.
He has a bunch of competitions down there in LA area. Mostly he does quite a bit down in Santa Ana area, but he does come up. Not Santa Ana, San Diego. But he does come up to Riverside area, which isn't too bad for you. And I would invite you to come and check one of those out one of these times.
Definitely.
SQ Sounds, that's Tristan out of Barbados. He says, "Hey, looks like we have a future bass head right here." Hey, I'm telling you, it's like crack. Once you start doing it's hard to get rid of. You start spending a lot of money and a lot of time learning stuff. And you can always, just like, I mean, I'm sure you have the same issue in batteries, right? You spend all your time and money designing it on a computer, but until you actually build it and test it, you don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah. No, that's the thing about batteries is you have to, in our industry, it's actually, there's a lot of testing, 100% inspection for all of it. And you have to, there's a lot of stuff you have to check for a battery. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Tristan says, Kevin, look in your camera, say bass head 3 times with a Frankenstein laugh. Is that like Bloody Mary? No. To magically become one. No, that's awesome. So, hey, Kevin, how do people get a hold of you, check out your products if they want to, because we do have quite a few people that are like bass fishermen and stuff like that they have other hobbies. But how would somebody get a hold of you, check out your stuff? Like I said, Tristan, he does like golf carts every once in a while because he's on an island. So stuff like that. Where would they find you and look?
So it's bionopower.com, BIOENNOPOWER.com, and phone numbers on the website as well, and they can email through the site. And then just when you send an email, just say attention Kevin, if you have any questions.
Yeah. And as you guys have seen tonight, part of the reason I actually asked Kevin on was because I wanted to talk to somebody that, in my opinion, he speaks plainly about what it is so that it can be understood by the layperson. Hopefully, Jeffrey, because I don't know what you guys don't know, so I have a physics background, right? Obviously, he's got an engineering background. So did you feel it was explained in a manner that was understandable, Jeff?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm really excited to see a lot of these innovations with sodium ion and see how they're going to apply to, car audio. We've kind of scratching the surface. Well, I'm sure there's been studies, throughout the years, but as far as maybe, coming soon to a vehicle near you, I'm really excited about it.
Hey, remember, Jeff, when we first got into this, 1,000 watts was the big daddy in amplifiers. Now we got guys that are running, what are they running? The 20,000 watts? They have like 10 of them in their car, right? At 20,000 watts each.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the biggest, baddest alternator on the planet was 200 amps. And now people are running 400 amp alternators, 4 of them in their car, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of insane engineering. And you got to figure, right? Even when you start doing that, all of that stuff's got to fit together and then work together. So, in general, the people that participate in this hobby at the high levels where Jeffrey and I judge, they ain't stupid. So, which is awesome. So, like I said, I really, really like this. And to be honest with everybody out there, this was really more for me. I kind of geek on this stuff. I thought it would be awesome to learn about these new batteries, especially after reading the technical papers from that one company. And I think it may have even been Redwood that I saw that technical paper from. And like I said, I think the way the industry's going and what I've seen over the last 20 years has been phenomenal. I can't imagine what Mike Jaffe saw over his entire lifetime. I mean, he's been involved in stereo since the late 60s, what has car audio done since 1968 to now, right? It's just phenomenal, the kind of things that the industry's created.
Technology, yeah.
But anyway, hey, once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Puns Customs and Crossfire Car Audio. Without their support, it'd be difficult to do this show, but we do appreciate them. We'd like to thank our guest, Kevin Z. Kevin, like I said, really good guy. He's been very helpful when I was going through the issues when we had to figure out it was the charger, not the battery. He was patient with me. I was sending him a bunch of different videos and text and all that, and we got it worked out. I think both of us were on the same plane of, hey, we just want this to work properly. So, and if we find something in the process of me looking for and getting it fixed, it may help him and his customers out in the future also. So, Kevin, thank you. You did a great job. We appreciate you. You can check him out at BioNO Power. Jeffrey, he's got his 3X coming up this weekend at Crossfire Car Audio at the factory there.
Yep.
Them trying to get them damn points. Bastards. Moses is hating on you guys. I'm just saying. Tristan SQ Sound says, Kevin, you did an awesome job explaining. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Like I said, these guys are great. They're going to end up following. Oh, is there any social media that they can follow the BioNO stuff at? Or
yeah, we have the BioNO Power Facebook page, Instagram, and then YouTube. We're going to be updating a lot of it this year. So we're making some updates, and then we post a lot of review videos on YouTube because we find that to be very effective. Because this type of product, it's actually better to watch videos. So on BioNO Power's YouTube search, you'll find a lot. So, and we're going to be uploading a lot more. I mean, there's already a lot of videos already posted. We're going to have more videos posted this year as well.
Awesome. All right, Jeffrey, hey, thanks for popping in again this week.
Sure.
Remember, we got Autorama coming up. When else do you get 30,000 people that pay $20 a piece, dumbasses? But hey, they want to pay $20 a piece to come in and check us out? That's awesome. 30,000 people, they stick us right by the front gate. You'll never get that opportunity anywhere but Autorama. So if you guys want to come and show off your stereo systems, come and do that there. This is a great opportunity. It's a 5X weekend. We got a 2X on Saturday, 3X on Sunday. You guys can set new world records. Next week on the show, we'll have Kayla Sickles. I got to look up what her competition name is. It's like Bass Girl Kayla or something like that. Anyway, so she now currently has the record. She has the world record in
the OG class, right?
Did she do the OG class? Yes.
So.
Yes, she was the OG class. So 10,000 watt class of Super Street. She is current world record holder, and she's going to come on and talk to us about women in the car audio industry and going to shows. And she's new to this, and she really enjoys it, and she's going to share her passion and enthusiasm with the rest of us.
Nice.
So, hey, guys, we'll see you again next week. Same time, same bad channel, 5:30 California time. Once again, the only time that does matter. But we will see you guys next week on This Week in Car Audio. We're out of here. Peace.